Comedians are magicians of joy. They cause laughter, which in turn brings happiness to the soul. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're ready for this week's An Nur the Light. Joey Rashdien is one of the pioneers of stand-up comedy in post-apartheid South Africa, and we get to learn what makes him tick.
If you go to a real doctor, he does differential diagnosis. You know what's differential diagnosis? Like a mechanic. He first eliminates what's not wrong with you to tell you what's wrong with you.
Comedian Joey Rashdien has been entertaining audiences for well over a decade and has become one of South Africa's most beloved sons. As one of the original stand-up comics in post-apartheid South Africa, his rise has been through hard work and real comedic talent.
It's been amazing to watch Joey evolve into the amazing human being and father that he is. So yes, I have huge respect for Joey. His integrity is, for me, Joey's hallmark.
That time it was difficult because people didn't know there wasn't an industry as big as it is now. So we had to lay that foundation. The foundation was laid by certain guys like Mark Lottering, John Blismus, Joe Parker, David Cow, Kagiso Latigainen. Yeah, and slowly but surely we built an audience up.
What many of us don't know is that the man who makes many of us laugh out loud has encountered his fair share of sadness. He lost both his parents at a young age, and later on his first wife also died very young. This left Joey to raise their son on his own.
My father passed away when I was 9, my mother passed away when I was 18. I had a stepfather, he passed away when I was 12. My first wife passed away before I was 30. So I have lots of loss in my life. Also, recently, I've been going through some tough times in my own life. And you have to look deep down within your own dark heart. Because we all think we're perfect. We all think we're cool guys. But there's certain mistakes that you did. And once you don't look at that mistakes honestly and openly, you'll never be able to change and become the person you ought to be. I'm afraid of losing more people. And that's my biggest fear. But again, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. Surely, the Almighty won't burden a soul if the Almighty doesn't know that that soul can't handle the burden.
After the loss of his first wife, Joey married again and another child followed. Leah and her brother are the loves of Joey's life, and he dedicates as much time to them as he can.
Joey Rashdien, the father, is exemplary. He is loving, caring, and above all, he protects his children hugely, but does not smother them. And he's with his kids every step of the way. And I admire that and respect that in Joey.
People create certain perceptions. So what's the type of perception you want to create? Okay, you can wear kurta and you can have a long beard and then people perceive you a holy guy. It's a perception. It's not what's in your heart. So I'm not really bothered at what people think, but I know for a fact. And if you meet my children, inshallah, they will tell you that, this is a quiet guy, he's a good father and stuff. And that's important, not what other people think. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير.
The talented comedian is not only well-versed in jokes but also in the Holy Quran. He remains an astute scholar of Islam, reading as much as he can in order to improve on his recitation as well as escape into a spiritual realm.
If you impart some sort of knowledge that other people might not know about you, whether they find it funny or not, it's just that responsibility to change people's perception. You're fortunate enough to make comments on social structure and influence social thinking. And yeah, the reciting part in that, some people got offended, other people didn't get offended. It depends where you come from. So you only get offended. We see things as we are. So if you see the worst in something, that means you must look at your own heart and ask yourself, why am I always seeing the worst in something?
Joey's career may have started on stage, but he's moved to both the small and big screens. TV shows and movies have become another avenue for him to showcase his amazing talent.
I'm not where I want to be, but I'm damn glad I'm not where I used to be. Like, if we can form a new point of reference. If you can form a new point of reference, that is a goal. There's certain personal goals that I would like to achieve, but not for this forum. It's for me. It's for my personal goals. In terms of career-driven and stuff, you know, you want to leave a legacy. You want to start. Like, at least in comedy, I can say we were there when there wasn't an industry, and there's now an industry. So the movies is the next one. We did material, but there's other things. So when you leave here, they must go, wow, those guys are the forerunners of this new a genre of movies. And yeah, that's a goal. So yeah, there's still so much more to achieve.
As South Africans, we love to laugh at ourselves, and Joey Rasdien has tapped into this and carved out a market for himself. His career and family are what matters most, and the comedian from Johannesburg can find no greater joy. He continues to be a pioneer in his field, and his jokes remain as fresh as ever.
Joey surely has a beautiful but sad story to tell, and we wish him well as he continues to shine bright. Sister Nariman Richards joins me on the couch once again for this week's Life Coach segment. Assalamu alaikum, Nariman, and how are you?
Wa alaikum salam, Maryam. I'm very well. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, shukran. This week's topic will get people thinking a little deeper. So tell us more about it.
Yes, Maryam. This week we're looking at religious judgment. In particular about the standards that we set for ourselves and the standards that we judge others against when it comes to religion.
How are the religious standards that we judge others against destroying the spirit of acceptance and tolerance amongst Muslims?
I think firstly, Maryam, we must just also remember that it's not just amongst Muslims. I've had in my coaching, I've had clients who are Christians who struggle with religious judgment. And I think that because we judge people against our standards, there's very little room for tolerance and acceptance. And it seems to be growing. And instead of unifying people, it's separating people and isolating people.
Why do spiritual Muslims struggle to conform to cultural practices masquerading as religious standards?
It's a very interesting question because there's a phenomena amongst, again, not only Muslims, in other religious faiths as well, that people have become more spiritual than religious. And so there's more identification with the spirituality of their practices than the religious side of their practices. And with that, people have lost connections with cultural practices. A particular example in Cape Town is, in the Muslim community, is something called like the Thursday night, we call it Khadat or Dhikr. A lot of spiritual Muslims they struggle to conform because they don't identify necessarily with the religious practices, but rather with a deep spiritual connection. And so those cultural practices are kind of dying out, or less people are attending those practices. It doesn't mean that less people are spiritual.
If Allah loves us unconditionally, why do we always feel judged for our actions, our imperfections, or our appearance?
Yeah, you see, this is what ultimately drives or brings clients to me because they're feeling judged. And this is normally, it's an internal thing, because until you can love yourself unconditionally, you can't comprehend unconditional love. And so we struggle with our appearance. We struggle with not living up to a perfect standard. And we forget, or we don't recognize that until we can actually accept those imperfections and understand that God or Allah, what we can call the Creator whatever we want, but ultimately He knows that He's created us imperfect. And so the struggle really is with loving ourselves unconditionally and then accepting ourselves as we are, warts and all, and having a sense of I'm enough.
Sure, that was quite enlightening, but I must say we've just scratched the surface. If you'd like to explore this topic a little more, let's interact via social media and perhaps create an even bigger awareness. Jazakallah Nariman for helping us understand religious tolerance a little better.
Jazakallah for having me, Mariam.
Shukran. Next up, we explore the importance of establishing a will for your estate.
Islam places great emphasis on the drawing up of wills. In a hadith related by Bukhari, it is the duty of a Muslim who has anything to bequest not to let 2 nights pass without writing a will about it. Wills are important as it serves as a final testament of the person and what to do with their worldly possessions.
The minute you start earning any form of income, then you must draw up your will. Whether you have nothing, substantive, but your pair of shoes, your shirt, your tie, whatever you have, there's a potential for people to fight about it. So when you have it in your will, it will indicate clearly, my pair of shoes or that white cupboard in the corner belongs to so-and-so.
In order for one to fulfill religious obligations, it is important for Muslims to plan a will according to the Sharia. At least 2/3 of a deceased Muslim's estate must be distributed amongst remaining relatives.
The first process, which is the responsibility of every individual, every person, who then ensures that he has a will and testament in place. That person will obviously include provisions, some broad provisions in his will or her will, in which he then determines that the distribution and the devolution of my estate must occur in accordance with Islamic law. A provision would then be included to say that an authority, like an informal judiciary, Muslim judiciary of the notes that we have in our country, will then be approached in order to draw up a inheritance distribution list.
Apart from the religious factors that need to be taken into account, there's also the South African legal system. If no will is provided for, the assets can go to the state, who then decides what to do with it.
The law in South Africa recognizes the Sharia law, in respect of estates, because if you place all your assets inside of a Sharia will, then the South African law respects that. Because all that must happen after that is, once we as attorneys, we get the will, we get one of the members of the ulama, or one of the organizations, linked to Islamic organizations, and one of the shuyukh or imams, they will give us a certificate confirming who can inherit and who can't inherit. And then, of course, then it's a normal type of scenario. We then draft it in accordance with Sharia principles and all the other little checks and balances in there. And then, of course, the South African law kicks in, where you basically wind it up. You report your estate to the master's office. You fill in your requisite documents. You then afterwards you advertise in terms of for debtors and creditors, and then after that's in terms of Section 29 of the Administration of Estates Act. And then you do your L&D account, and of course thereafter you advertise in terms of Section 35 for people to come view the L&D account, and thereafter the master will issue their certificate if everybody's happy, and then that's it.
The Legal Cafe in Cape Town offers their services to draw up wills, often free of charge.
When we draft wills, what we normally look at is the parties and what the circumstances are. And if there's a married couple, like a husband and a wife, one must look at who owns the property and what will happen. Let's say the property is in the name of the husband. What will happen to the wife after he passes on? So what we do is we take a bit of Roman Dutch law, South African law. We take that and we incorporate that into the Sharia law. So we say, yes, this is a Sharia wall, but it is subject to a possibility of a usufruct, a usus, or a right of habitatio. You are not contaminating the Sharia in any way, because all you're doing is you're safeguarding the widow when she actually, when the testator passes on.
There should be no excuse for putting off the drafting of a will. Many people do not realize that this document is essential when ensuring the family's security. Nothing is guaranteed in this lifetime or the next. The Quran says, "Truly to Allah we belong, and truly to Him we shall return."
I cannot stress enough how important it is to have your will and estate sorted. Remember, this is an Islamic obligation and is also legally advisable. KwaZulu-Natal is definitely one of South Africa's best holiday destinations. There's always something more to discover, and this week we visited Umhlanga on Durban's north coast.
If you're looking for something exciting to do, then getting up close and personal with a crocodile could just be the thing for you. One of the oldest places to view these animals can be found in the Umhlanga region.
Crocodile Creek was started 33 years ago. We've been continuing. I've been very fortunate. Sean Lecoeur, my manager, has been with me 31 years. Timan, as you see in the picture here, has been with us 22 years. So we've kept our staff despite crocodiles trying to eat them.
Crocodiles are said to be the closest living relatives to reptiles who were around in the dinosaur era. These ancient creatures with skin as tough as nails are sure to leave their hair standing on your back.
The visitors offer a unique experience because we have a very hands-on farm. I can show you, there's where a crocodile bit my hand. As you saw Sean holding up a crocodile, etc. It's very hand-on, very personal, and you get something different. You get to touch a crocodile, feel what it feels like. Because people always have in their mind, snakes are slimy, but if they actually touch it, they realize they're silky.
The farm has a natural habitat where one gets to view these silent hunters and learn more about them. This gives guests a better understanding and will hopefully help in the conservation, but also education of people around crocodiles. Delectable, yummy and oh so delicious are just some of the words that can come to mind when first setting sight on the sweet confectionery of the shoebox.
The shoebox is me, as in Farzana. My passion for baking, my passion for being creative, and my passion for making people happy, because food is happiness. I specialized in mainly sweet treats, mainly like desserts, mini cakes, and different types of pastry. I've realized that the food market in Durban is crazy. People love food. The support is phenomenal.
Farzana's freshly baked pastries are a hit all across Durban. Her attention to detail and love that she puts into every pastry is the recipe of her success.
The favorites are Oreo, peppermint, and strawberry. We are coming out with new flavors. That's fresh coconut and cashew. And we're coming out with bee sting. It's custard and pecan nuts. Every item is made of the best quality, right? Affordable and absolutely delicious.
Apart from the pastry, Farzana also makes a mean breakfast bun with all the essential ingredients catered for. This in itself is a fulfilling meal that has become a hit amongst her clients. Just down the road from the busy Umhlanga shopping and residential area, but almost a world away, once you step into it, is the Umhlanga Lagoon and Nature Reserve. It is situated along a 26-hectare strip framed by the sea on the one side and lush green vegetation.
We have a lot of people coming through the reserve along the walk through the forest, and the actual reserve is 26 hectares in size. A lot of trees. Wildlife we have here, a number of small buck, we have red duiker, blue duiker, and I have in the past seen a small grey duiker here. We also have vervet monkeys, and there are quite a few different bird species that birders can come and have a look at.
The reserve has a number of trails taking the visitor through forest, beach and along the river. There's much to see and do as one can spend hours exploring and discovering the place.
Anybody can come on a walk here. Breakers, which is alongside the reserve, arranges walks, guided walks at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and bookings can be made through Breakers. There is a small fee. The staff that take the walks are not Isabella staff. I think they work for themselves, but they are trained on the trees and the wildlife in the reserve.
Visitors are encouraged to leave the hustle and bustle of city life and spend time in nature. All one needs is some comfortable clothing and shoes to have a fun day exploring the reserve.
Our travel segment really gets me excited about exploring beautiful South Africa. Remember, all our episodes can be found on YouTube, so if you're looking for something, just log on and check it out. Kinna Mare Mokwanda, kiri aribuwe ribona nenghape. Assalamu alaikum.
Before I start this verse, I think it's best that I say I ain't pious, I ain't righteous, I ain't one of the greats. I ain't Umar, I ain't Ali, I ain't Ahlul Bayt. So now we got that straight, let me express my faith. Cause all the people wanna know how you got on Dean, bro. What made you leave the scene, bro? What light did you see, bro? We see you got a beard now, so we wanna hear how this new improved Muslim has just magically appeared now. Well, let me stop you there and let me make this clear. I ain't doing this for fame, cause fam, I do not care about the people or the praise, about how loud they cheer, or if they still remember me or all when I'm not here. Cause if it ain't for Allah, who am I doing it for? When the angels raise me up and ask me who is your Lord, tell me what will I say about the times I didn't pray, about the nights I'd roll around like I won't see the day when the mountains will fall and the people will say, Ya Rabbi, send me back to earth for one more day. Give us time to repent, time to change our ways. The clocks will not go back and you can't skip your grave. I swear it broke my heart the night I heard Twan died, cause it didn't make no sense. How could they kill my guy? I swear I broke straight down. Why is this life so crazy? I crumbled on that floor that night, I cried like a baby. Then I wiped my tears, I swear the truth was clear. This life is temporary, just a couple of years. But then where do we go? God, tell me, what do we do? And don't tell me that I'm crazy, cause you're thinking it too. So I took my time, I had to study the truth, cause everyone was telling me that their religion was true. So I looked in deep, it's like my heart was numb, but a light was coming out saying Allah is the one, and he ain't no man, a human ain't my savior. I don't pray to the creation, fam, I praise the creator. I'm trying to tell my cousin when I visit the pen, I'ma bring him a Quran next time I visit again, cause it makes me think, how does a heart get clean? So many man that go to jail but somehow still find a deen, and it ain't by chance, there's no smoke in the screen. When you put a man in darkness, then the light can be seen. It's like I think about my brother when I cry and I pray, cause I'm trying to give him dawah, trying to show him the way, show him party ain't it worth it, tell him more every day. But then it gets to a point when what more can you say? But I need to guide him proper, gotta show him the path, cause I didn't have no man to show me how to pray my salah, and I didn't have no man to show me how to connect with Allah, and I didn't have no man to show me how to read the Quran. And I'm just seeking out the truth, so it's the deen that I chose. But I'm fighting my own demons, I can feel them getting close. Devil whispers in my chest, trying to make my heart colder, but sometimes it feels like it's right there on my shoulder.